Hey, welcome to the Bloody Hell podcast. I'm Cass and this is Kahlee, and this is our new creative project that we've started in quarantine. How did we start this podcast, Kahlee?
Oh god, it was like a year ago of just general talking about let's do something different, and then we got over cosplay a little bit, and then somehow we were like, let's do a podcast. This is a great idea.
We're always those weird ones at parties that don't shut up about horror movies.
So let's just bother like the whole internet in the world with our ramblings instead.
I was going to say let's find a safe space for our conversations, but yeah, no, we can bother the whole internet instead.
Put it on the internet and bother people instead.
Okay, yeah, no, we're a burden to you, internet. Enjoy.
We're sorry.
But yes, this idea started last year. This time last year.
Well, our first recording date was because I found my diary actually from last year.
Yeah.
And we had down, it was March the 6th. It was going to be our first recording. And then that was actually at the weekend the lockdown happened. And I had bought The Loved Ones on DVD because we were so excited to start it.
We were going to talk about Australian horror films. That's correct.
We were going to do an Australian horror podcast and talk about like The Loved Ones and Wolf Creek and how much bad and good movies there are in Australian horror, and like a surprisingly large amount.
Mm.
And then lockdown happened, and I remember driving to your house and leaving it on your doorstep.
You did. You left a gift bag, a contact-free delivery of The Loved Ones. The Loved Ones, we're not talking about Loved Ones today, but that is reserved for a future podcast. The Loved Ones is a indie Australian horror film that was a slow crawler. I think it came out in like 2010, something like that.
2009, and then it was released in Australia in 2012.
That's right.
It was a very weird independent Australian movie that was big in America before Australia.
It was, actually. No, I remember torrenting it when I was a kid. So Loved Ones is a torture porn Australian film. So it is chock-a-block full of gore, but it is so indie. But to me, any Australian would resonate with that film because there is so much small details down to takeaway packaging that is ingrained in Australian culture. And it's a good movie. I remember introducing you to that film, Kahlee, and you were like, holy shit, what is this?
This is the best thing in the world. But I remember like messaging you while I was watching it being like, I can hear the fabric of that dress that she's wearing.
The prom, because in the film they call it a prom dress, but I'm like, we call them formals
it's
here.
Formal. Like I can hear the rustling of that formal dress through my TV screen, and I'm like, oh, that would be so hot and so sweaty. And
now that comes from our cosplay background. Kahlee and I met 2014, 2014. I think 2014.
I think we met 2013 through like mutual friends. It was the Awkward Con High and By.
Yeah.
And then we didn't meet officially until 2014. And then I kidnapped you for cake randomly.
It was great.
And then you were busy.
And I know, and I regret that. I was too busy because I had a Skype chat with friends that are now no longer my friends today. So I kind of really regret saying no to Kahlee, coming over to my house at like 8 p.m. saying, we're going to go have cake. And I'm like,
met you once, but let's go for cake. I found you. Oh God, I sound like a total stalker.
Yeah, we're best friends now, so sorry. I know where you live. I ended up moving closer to you.
Yay. We're long stumbling distance apart, but 3 Taylor Swift songs drive.
I was just going to say a $5 Uber, but okay.
You measure things in Taylor Swift songs.
Okay. I used to measure in Meatloaf songs because his songs are like 15 to 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes long.
Taylor's more your average, like 3.5 minutes. So, yeah.
Okay, alright. No, well, I know from here to your house is the entirety of Bat Out of Hell. But anyway, we met through cosplay. The thing was in 2013, 2014. There was a convention and Jason Momoa was there, and we were both Daenerys, and I remember seeing you in the line, and Kahlee looked gorgeous. She had this beautiful wig on. Because Jason Momoa was there, all my friends prior to the con were telling me, don't cosplay things that are popular, too many people will be cosplaying the same thing you are, and I made it my mission to find every single Daenerys and be friends with them, because I am like that. I did that with Harley Quinn when Suicide Squad came out. I did it with Daenerys back in like 2014. Anywho, I saw Kahlee in the line. She looked beautiful. I said to my friend, she looks beautiful, and then she looked at me, and she just had this tired look on her face. But that's what conventions do.
It was like 3:30 in the afternoon in line to get our photos. And I'm like, I am done. I want to go home. But I remember like seeing you in the hall before that and being like, oh my gosh, that's Cassie. I'm so excited. And you had the exact same tired over it look on your face. And I thought you were the biggest bitch. Because I was like, well, fine then. And then, don't base your first opinion on people at a convention in cosplay. That's my advice.
Yeah, no. I remember seeing it and I was like, okay, I'm not going to go take a selfie with that, Danny. I didn't think you were a bitch. I remember telling my friend, she's probably tired or exhausted. Like, the cues do that to you. And then at the end of the convention, you came up to me, you asked for a selfie, and I was so excited. I was like, she doesn't hate me. Kahlee's always been a big fan of horror. I'm a closeted fan of horror.
I was a weirdo in school who was like, have you seen the new Saw movies? Like, let's go see the Saw movie. And my friends were like, yeah, no, you're a freak.
Kahlee has this cursed spare bedroom where there are 6 Chucky dolls. Like, this includes Tiffany, and then there's an Annabelle. And they all look down at you whilst you're sleeping, and it is cursed. Like, yes, in my horror collection, I only have one doll. It is Sam from Trick or Treat, but he does not stare at anybody whilst they sleep. Kahlee's do.
I feel like in the horror room though, there's like the Chucky shelf, and then there's like the bookcase of crap.
Yeah, there's like
which is just the masks and
the
Ashy
gloves.
Slashy, and there's the Gremlins, and it's got the Freddies.
You also got Christine.
Yeah, I had to
got
Christine.
the car, yeah.
My Knights of Samaria ring, because, come on guys, we all love that show. It's a good show.
It's good. Yeah, Kahlee's always been big on the horror. I was a closeted horror fan, partially because I was made fun of it in high school. So I loved horror growing up. Loved it so much. And I remember going to Blockbuster and lying about my age on the Blockbuster card.
Got banned from Blockbuster.
Please, tell us. No, please. I love this interruption. Kahlee, please enlighten the audience on how you got banned from Blockbuster.
This is my tangent. I was 16 and I used to go there because I did film and TV back in school, like everyone else who liked photos and cameras. You do film and TV.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Yep. So I would go to Blockbuster and they never asked me for my ID. I filled out the form. I would pay my whatever the fees were if they were late. Like I was just...
You're an independent Blockbuster member. Yeah.
No one ever asked me for ID. I didn't know what I was doing was wrong. I remember one day I had rented out the Black Dahlia movie and Freddy vs. Jason. And that's when I got the manager of the store. Because Freddy vs. Jason was an R-rated movie. And he's like, oh, this is R. Can I just double check your ID? And I was like, oh, yeah, no, here it is. Here's my learner's license.
At least you didn't show your school ID.
No. Here's my learner's license. And he's like, what's this? And I'm like, oh, I just, that's my ID. And he was like, no, go get your dad and come back. And I went home and I got my dad, and dad's just like, yeah, no, we're not going back there. So I went back a couple of days later to go get my movies. And that's when they said I was banned from Blockbuster because my name was blacklisted because I shouldn't have had an account there.
I think that's your fault though, because no one checked it.
Me.
Yeah.
I honestly thought I was fine.
Yeah, no, you should have been fine.
I did not know this. But then when they went under, I went there and I raided their horror collection.
No, you see, so I rented horrors when I was like 16, 17, but because we were with Blockbuster since I was probably like, I don't know, 12. Whenever I was aware that Blockbuster existed, we went to Blockbuster. So my mum used to forget her card all the time. So at Blockbuster, they would just say, okay, what's your mum's name? What's the PIN code? And they would just let us rent it. And because we went there so many times, this also was the same at Video Easy. They'd be like, oh, this one's MA, or I think in the States they call it NC-17, but this one's MA 15+. Is mum and dad okay with this? I'd be like, yeah, okay, it's fine. It's good.
I didn't get that.
I'm like, I nod my head, and they'd be like, oh, okay, cool, that's fine. But that's because like we would throw some kiddie titles in there. They usually just assumed we were renting them for mum and dad. But they were pretty cool with us. They were pretty cool because they thought I was there. Oh yeah, I also used to rent the Nintendo 64 titles. So that's probably why they thought, they're like, yeah, you're just getting this for your parents. You're after the N64. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just flat out renting every horror that they had. And I got that manager the one day.
Oh god.
I wear that band like a badge of honor.
I'll wear it like a bitch. I would too.
I'm a good girl. So to be banned from Blockbuster is pretty fun.
Yeah, you're really innocent and it's hilarious. So
I like Saw.
People, because okay, so not to stereotype, but
We're stereotypes.
Kahlee is like, if you've ever heard of that person, Christine McConnell, she looks so sweet. She looks so girly and gorgeous. And then she's like, this is my horror doll collection. These are my Chuckies. This is like blood, gore, guts. I watch freaking Conjuring to go to sleep. Isn't it Conjuring? What do you watch to go to sleep?
Chainsaw Massacre.
There we go. You watch Chainsaw Massacre to go to sleep. Whereas I love my horror, and I've always loved it. Like, I was the goth kid growing up, and people always assumed, yes, horror, her, but then also I was made fun of it, so I would hide it through other things.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a closeted horror until now. Carly's really awakened my need to buy dust collectors for my house.
It's great.
Yeah, no, thanks. I have no space for it.
Welcome.
Thank you. But, yeah, that's our little history with horror. Carly, what are we talking about today?
1993's Leprechaun.
Yay!
It's St. Paddy's Day soon, and we thought we would just be those people to ride the train of St. Patrick's Day. Mm-hmm. So we watched the most cliche horror movie we could possibly find for St. Patrick's Day, and we don't regret it. We have Guinness with us.
the reason why I put up with it is because we've got Guinness today.
We don't regret it. It's a bad movie. It's so bad that it's kind of good.
Speak for yourself.
It was a bad movie.
It was a bad movie.
It's a questionable funny at the time. You were like, oh my gosh, but it's a 90s horror comedy movie.
It is the epitome of 90s, and
yep,
it just has a script with so many loopholes. Like, I spent the entire time taking notes going, but how do they, what are they, what's going on?
It was me the whole time being like, you're overanalyzing it. Quit it.
The way Carly and I watch horror movies is I'll watch it and I'll think about how to solve the situation and how to get out of said situation.
I'm like, look at Leprechaun poker sticker guy's long to death.
And Carly's like, yay, murder!
Murder is your friends.
Yeah,
no, it's not. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Murder's bad.
On this note, we do not condone murder of any circumstances. Thank you. Right now, we're doing this without a video because we're unsure with how this will go and our confidence in front of a microphone. But anyway, let's get on today's topic of the Leprechaun, because we've done our intro. We spoke about our history and why we started a podcast, because we were bored. So this is our new creative hobby, our new outlet, and we watched Leprechaun. Carly, do you want to give me a rundown of the Leprechaun?
Okie dokies. So, Leprechaun was made back in 1993 in January, I believe, by Lionsgate Production. No, it's just Lionsgate.
Lionsgate. It was shot in 1991, and then they released it in 1993. Remember, we were talking about it? It was in post-production for like a couple of years.
They did,
that's
and
a long
they
time.
Decided that it was going to be just a full-on slasher, and then they're like, no, let's make it funny, because this is the 90s, so Scream was a thing, and meta horror, funny, self-aware was a thing, so they're like, let's make it funny.
It was the end of meta horror, because around the mid to late 90s, that's when the grunge stuff started coming in, and I'm like, okay, which Rob Zombie music is going to be the intro for this one?
Meet the Creeper.
There
So they made it like a horror comedy. So yeah, it did take a while for them to actually release it. And when it did, it was made on a budget for $1 million. I feel like it's not that bad. You can't tell it was made on a low budget considering.
Yeah, I wonder what the inflation on... We should research that. What the inflation of $1 million in 1991.
I'm curious. Yeah, it's a good point. We should find that out.
Yeah.
But the box office landed though at $8.6 million in the end. But then there's also, it starred Jennifer Aniston.
Yes.
Pre-Friends though. But after Friends came out though, it blew up on VHS and it went insane. So that's where the box office came from, was mostly DVD sales or video sales.
VHS. I don't think DVDs came in until like... When?
I don't even know. I just remember Snow Dogs was the first DVD that my parents brought home, and I'm like, I don't even like this movie.
I remember Snow Dogs. I saw that in cinemas in like 2007, maybe?
Yeah.
No, 2007. No, fuck off. No, that was like 2003, 2002.
Yeah. And that was DVD players were not a common thing in Australian households at that point.
No, it wasn't.
They were coming in. Like, everyone kind of had one, but no one had the DVDs to go with it because they were so expensive.
Yeah, I remember that we had the first Harry Potter movie on VHS, and then we had them on DVD.
Yeah, I think I got it to Prisoner of Azkaban on VHS, and then it was a more common thing to buy them.
Yeah, because that's probably when they started phasing them out. Because because my dad works in IT, so we had a DVD player very early on. But we were very long to give up the VHSs. Like, I liked recording Simpsons episodes on them all the time, recording over them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Leprechaun VHS sales. I wouldn't say it would be DVD sales.
VHS though, for sure. The movie though itself had some weird reviews though. So some people were saying that it's a perfect high concept comedy slasher, and it still has Jennifer Aniston's best film to date, which I agree with.
That would have been that would have been before like Bruce Almighty and all that came out.
No,
that would be a first review.
I'm not a rom-com funny comedy person.
No, I don't like rom-coms. I find them very copy-paste.
I find them boring.
Yeah, I just because you sit there and go, all right, here's them getting together. Okay, now when's the infamous breakup? There it is. Then they get back together. It's predictable. You know the script word for word. It's like you know that movie Coyote Ugly?
No, I've never watched it.
That's okay. Have you seen the movie Burlesque with Christina Aguilera?
A little bit, but to be honest, I'm not.
That's okay because it's a copy paste. It's a copy paste. It's the exact same storyline, exact same everything.
One has shinier costumes.
That's it.
And one has Tyra Banks.
One was shot in 4K, one was shot in 1080p.
Yeah.
There you go.
100%.
There we go. But anyway, yes, continue with the reviews.
But yeah, it had some... Not many. It was kind of hard to find positive reviews for this movie, I'll be honest. And then the negative ones were another psychotic thing on the prowl. This time it's in time for St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm. Like us.
Yep. And then another one is just straight to VHS rubbish.
That I'll give them points there because the 90s was such a prime point for straight to VHS. Like Disney was doing it with their Vault movies
and just pumping out
sequels direct to VHS. There was so much direct to VHS movies. It was just mental. Probably because it was in the introduction of the DVD. It must have been cheaper to produce these direct to home movies. I don't know. I just remember there was a lot. Like there was a lot of sequels to Disney movies. I'm like, how did that get?
How did this go? That's why they stopped them though, because they were so bad.
They're still going on with the live action ones now. Apparently, there's going to be an Aladdin 2. I liked Aladdin. I don't know if it deserved an Aladdin 2.
Disney's going through that process they do every 20 years. I was watching a documentary on it once where it said that they have their prime movies and then they went into their sequels and then the sequels weren't doing too crash hot, so then they locked their prime ones away and then they re-released them from the vault.
Yes, the release vault, yeah.
Yeah, and now they're pretty much essentially put them all back in the vault and now they're redoing the next phase. Well, the phase before the next was everything goes to 4K. And now their next phase is live action. So they have this plan of let's just keep pumping out the same crap in the next 20 years. So
and now we're introducing 8K.
Yep.
There
you go.
Control C, Control V. There you go.
They're just reproducing the same thing. So horror did the exact same thing. How many movies can you make? And then they just keep pumping them out.
Yeah, no. Halloween did the exact same thing. How many freaking Halloween... you and I will fight till the end of days what Halloween movies we like and what we don't like. And we'll get onto that when we do talk about Halloween.
I'm so excited about that one.
When we
have opinions. I have opinions.
You do. No, we'll get to that. I'm very outspoken on Twitter about how I feel about the Halloween movies. And Kahlee and I have very differing opinions, but that's what I like about us. That's what I like. We'll both watch horror movies and we'll both go, I like this, and I'll just sit there going,
But it does come back down to that you like to analyse and problem solve, and I'm very, look, his head fell off.
That's it. I like to problem solve. Yeah, and I'm very into lore and all that. That's probably coming from I'm a gamer. I like game history, game lore, game everything.
Yeah.
And I expect the same in my movies, especially if there's a series, but... Yeah. Well, we'll get there when we get there. That's it. We'll get that crossroad.
It's on our list.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Leprechaun. So that was the reviews, or have you got another one for us?
Well, Rotten Tomatoes rated it at 21%, and IMDb said 4.8 out of 10.
Okay, so I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes.
Me neither.
Because people used to review bomb before things even started.
I feel like Leprechaun is past that point, though.
Past that point, yeah. Probably got uploaded.
Before review bombing was a thing.
This is before internet was a big thing.
Yeah.
Because I just asked my Google Home. That's why this jump cutted. I asked my Google Home when...
Google wouldn't shut up.
When the internet was readily available for release, and it was available in homes from 1991. So this film was filmed in 1991. I doubt they referenced it, though they did reference her sick-ass flip phone.
Her flip phone that she called My Portable!
Before it was all called cell phones. Well, we call them mobiles here, which I think in the States they say mobile.
Mibble.
Mibbles.
Mobile. I call him a Mibble.
Mobile phone. But yeah, she calls it her portable, and I'm like...
Just watching her yell, like, oh, my portable! And I'm like, wait, you what? And then she has, like, this hunk... Like, was it a flip phone?
It was a flip... Well, it wasn't like a...
It wasn't a snap flip phone, but she would, like...
It had a case that covered the numbers.
Yeah.
So it stops you from accidentally pressing something.
Open phone?
Like, you could probably, like, she could probably close it and still talk to someone.
Yeah.
But it just had a case that went over the top of the buttons.
Maybe. It was weird. It was red.
The 90s.
The 90s was an interesting time. We were born in the 90s. So that makes us old and millennials. Yeah. We have side parts.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, your part is on.
Yeah.
No, this is Middle's part.
I don't know.
I don't know. I tried to do the curtain bangs thing. I wanted to be in with the in crowd, and they just looked weird.
They don't look bad. I like them.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, could be like me trying to grow up the bangs. So. But yes, it was a very interesting movie. It was kind of hard to find positive reviews on it, even with like review bombing. It was pretty hard. So I don't think it's a good movie. There's 7 of them. Mm-hmm. So I don't think any of them have aged.
No, Jennifer. Jennifer
Aniston. She's aged fine.
She's in a time capsule. I don't know. I think she's aged like 5 years since that film came out. But then, I don't know. So that film came out a year before Friends started filming.
Yeah. So Leprechaun came out January 93.
Yeah.
And Friends came out September 94. Which makes sense why it came on DVD or video. Sorry. And it did so well because she was coming big in Friends, and everyone loved Rachel.
Because Friends, that's because I don't watch Friends. I know a little bit of it. I've watched some episodes, but I'm not as big as Kahlee on this one.
Meanwhile, over here,
yeah, shut up, bitch.
I like horror and Friends.
Because Friends is like that sitcom that had like, I don't know, a group of friends in like their mid-20s,
mid to late 20s,
yeah. Whereas in this film.
How was she meant to be?
It was ambiguous because the film starts out. So, okay, spoiler warning if you haven't seen The Leprechaun. This is when we're going to go and start analysing the film. So, in each podcast, we'll talk about the film prior. Now we're going to start talking about the film. Because the film starts out with her and her dad. So, Jennifer Aniston.
Her dad was JD. Not JD from Scrubs, but her dad's name was JD.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had me worried. I'm like, that was not JD from Scrubs.
No, that's not Scrubs.
It starts out with the... Okay, well, it doesn't really start... Okay, the film has a bit of a flashback in it. Okay. But the film stars Jennifer Aniston and her side character dad as they go out on, like, a holiday. They rent a house for the summer.
From, like, the worst Airbnb known to mankind.
Before Airbnb was a thing. This was 90s Airbnb. And... she's like going, Dad, I don't want to do this. Dad, I could have been shopping. Why didn't we just stay in New York for whatever for
Couldn't we
summer?
Just get a hotel?
Could we just get a hotel? And she's supposed to be this like superficial city kid. But her age is so ambiguous because I'm like, are you like this mid-20s still living at home?
It was weird. Like she looked like she was about mid-20s. But she was with her dad who clearly still needed to pay for her said motel. So maybe...
But she did say, no, she said in the film that she will go to a hotel and spend her own money on it.
Which still makes me think that she's still very young and she just has enough to pay for the hotel. Like, I have money now, Dad. I'm just going to pay for it myself. And really the dad's just like, yeah, no, you're going to stay in this shack thing. O'Grady had a stroke in. And
so the film starts out with the leprechaun counting his gold, singing a little rhyme. And it kind of tries to... It doesn't show the leprechaun's face. Maybe this is a good thing. To try and reel you in and keep you in the cinema for a bit longer because the effects on this guy is, whew. But
I like the makeup. The makeup was done practically. It
looked like a Scooby-Doo villain.
Yeah, he did. But who was Leprechaun? It was Warwick Davis, the Harry Potter, Professor Finwick, and from Star Wars. Yeah,
Flitwick. Sorry,
Flitwick.
Flitwick.
So Warwick Davis, he was Leprechaun.
Was he in Willow?
Yes, he was in Willow.
That's what I remember him from. I remember him from Willow. Okay, that's about it. That's my history.
He was in a lot. Like
he was in a lot.
Well, he still is in a lot.
Oh, he didn't pass away?
No. Wait, no.
Editor's note. Just coming in to say that we've done our research and we realised no, Warwick Davis is still very much alive and kicking. I just got confused with recent Harry Potter actors that have passed away, specifically ones from Philosopher's Stone. Thank you, and let's continue.
like cuts from the Leprechaun counting his coins, and it goes to the O'Grady house, which I was like, is this like a Chinese reference? And I'm like, no, it's just a very common Irish last name. I got excited for no reason.
Oh, it tries to drill the Irish into you straight away. Yeah. Like, first you have a leprechaun counting his gold, singing a little tune, and then you get this guy showing up home drunk in a limo, and he sculls a bottle of Jameson's whiskey, so Irish whiskey, and he smashes it on the ground, or just drops the bottle. I don't think it smashes.
I think he just dropped it.
He just dropped it.
He's
off
like, his face.
Just in case you needed to know that this movie had an Irish premise. And he toddles up to his front door, pissed as anything. His wife's there with her accent. The accents are all over the place in this film.
It took me a while to... No, they were an Irish accent and not an English accent from the wife.
Oh, don't say that to the Brits or the Irish.
I know. It's not going to end well.
Yeah. But anyway, this couple's fighting over money woes.
But I guess because Dan rocked up in a fancy car, like he was driven there by like a chauffeur, and his wife's like, "Oh my god, like we can't afford this," and he's like, "Nah, hon, it's fine. Like I found these coins," and she's just like, "I thought you went to go scatter your grandma's ashes over an island," and he's like, "Nah, mate, I found these coins. They're gonna be fine."
And then he's like, "Did my parcel show up?" And she went, "Yeah, I didn't touch it." And she's like, and she thought the parcel was his the ashes, and then he opens the parcel and there is this urn-looking container,
and then she's just done with him. She's like, "Whatever, I'm gonna make a cup of tea. Do you want one?" And he's like, "Yeah, cool." So they go back inside the house, and what's he doing in the meantime? He's hiding the coins.
He's hiding the coins. And she's making a cup of tea.
And so Miss O'Grady, she's making a cup of tea, and she hears this child's voice being like, "Help me, get me out of this thing." And she's like, "Wait, what?" So she's found a briefcase.
It was a briefcase. It was one of those like lock briefcases.
But it was like the leather briefcase, so it wasn't like a hard briefcase. It was like a soft briefcase.
Those ones are solid. Okay.
It looked soft.
Not like the hard shell
That's
plastic.
What she said.
Shut up. The the plastic suitcases we have today, nothing like that. It was one of those like treated business cases. So it's solid and it keeps its shape. It's supposed to like until it like eventually like, I don't know, softens up in 10 years.
Either way though, the leprechaun had stowed away with Dan, and he's there to get his gold.
He's there to get his gold,
and he's just done with these people. He's just like,
but I don't understand this right. So the leprechaun is in the suitcase being like, "Let me free, I can't let myself out." He magics himself out of so many things.
It's because he wanted a jump scare to surprise her, to be like, "Sup, bitch, I'm the leprechaun."
Okay.
And then he pushes her down the stairs, and that's how she actually dies. So he wanted the jump scare. It reminds me of Chucky, Child's Play 2, where he pushes the foster dad down.
He's baiting. Okay, alright, I'll give you this one.
Thank you.
I'll give you this one. There's multiple ones that I have issues with, but no, I'll give you this one. Okay.
Yeah, so then Dan comes in, and he's like, "What's this ruckus?" And he's like, "Oh shit, where did you come from, Mr. Leprechaun?" We're just probably going to call him Leppy or Lep the entire time, because saying leprechaun is kind of...
I don't know. Wait a minute. I do want to find out. Is Leppy...
He has a name. Like, he has a full-on name, but I never addressed it in the movie.
I just want to make sure that Leppy isn't like a slur for someone that has like leprosy or something like that.
I've heard people call him Lep a lot. That's why I referred to him as Lep.
Okay, no, I've done a quick Google. No, we are okay to call the leprechaun Leppy or Lep. It's fine. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't like... I don't know, it's people that get shipped off to Molokai for having leprosy. I didn't want to be discriminatory to anybody. So, yes.
Very fair.
But we quickly did our research. I did a quick Google search. We're okay. No one come for us yet. So, we'll fuck up eventually.
Oh, God. So, Dan comes back in, and he's like, "Where's my tea?" And then she's got his back to him. And then he turns around, and it's Leppy with really hot, steaming tea. Like, I don't know if you noticed how hot that tea was steaming. It was like...
What's he turning around? I thought he was in a chair.
I don't know if I was in a chair. I was too
dark.
No.
Because she's down in them.
She's dead on the floor. She's gone.
She jump scared the leprechaun jump scared her, and she fell down a stairwell, and she's cracked her floor in the basement. She did.
She's dead 5 minutes in.
Yeah. Wifey's gone. First kill done. Yeah, that's right. He comes in, and I think he's sitting on a chair. The lep is sitting on a chair. And he comes in and he goes, "Oh, your missus makes a great cup of tea."
That's right.
Scares the shit out of Mr. I'm Now Rich. O'Grady.
But he pulls a gun and goes like, "What you doing here?" And he's like, "I want my gold back."
That's right. Yeah, he runs over and unlocks a gun.
Yeah.
Oh, and a clover.
And a clover.
He unlocks a clover, which I want to explore as a plot hole, because they say in this film you must have a freshly picked clover against him. And yet this guy just returns from his trip from Ireland, goes up to his bedside table, pulls out a freshly picked clover.
He found in his backyard in that really weirdly green saturated clover patch.
But it was locked in his bedside table.
It was weird.
But anyway,
this movie doesn't make sense.
This movie doesn't make sense. Okay, this is me trying to solve stuff that doesn't make sense.
Welcome to me watching a movie with Cassie.
Hi. She puts up with my bullshit. I actually opted for us to watch movies separately because I make them a living hell. Never watch a movie with me.
It's true.
Love me.
It's fun together to watch a movie.
Well, we decided to get this done in one day, so this is us.
What I can't imagine is, like, I went straight to, like, he pulls out this clover, and all I can picture is, like, Dan O'Grady in Ireland going through this clover field trying to find a falling clover with, like, his pockets stashed of, like, leprechaun gold. And I'm like, can someone just picture this old man just casually hunting on the floor like it's no biggie? And, like, they're not easy to find, so he'd be there for a while.
They're not easy to find. Like, I do remember buying, when I was in Ireland, and buying, like, souvenirs of them, and they're literally, like, 3-leaf clovers that they just, like, glued
it on
the
wall. Yeah.
And they just preserve them in, like, they make it look like they've been preserved. Anyway, I remember that from when I was over there.
But they're not a common thing, so it finds it funny that they find multiple in this movie.
Yeah, that's it.
So somehow, I can't remember how, Dan gets a leprechaun into a crate in the basement, and then, like, long story short, essentially, he gets a leprechaun into this crate, he puts a clover on top
of the crate, he just places it.
Pisses you off, because you're just like, why didn't he sticky tape it there?
Yeah, I'm like,
the leprechaun gave him a stroke, and he didn't have time.
Okay, Carly kind of sped through this. But
I did.
He's having a tussle with the leprechaun. Eventually, because the leprechaun is like the leprechaun is afraid of 4-leaf clovers. He kind of like produces a clover in front of the leprechaun, like, the power of Christ compels you. Imagine I'm holding a crucifix, but it's a
lucky
clover.
Charm.
Anyway, it's a lucky charm. He gets the leprechaun into a crate, like a shipping crate. I don't know how he has a shipping crate in his basement.
How did he get it through the door?
I don't know.
Did he build it downstairs?
But anyway, there's this wooden shipping crate that is in his basement, and he gets the leprechaun in there, and he puts the lid on, and he puts the clover on top of that, and that stopped the leprechaun. Can't. He's trapped by the shamrock.
He's like lost his magic.
He's lost his magic.
Something. He has a silver shamrock thing, and
silver shamrock. That's Halloween.
I know. He's like,
he's stuck. Halloween. Different franchise, but he's stuck under this, like, shamrock, and it's just he's then nailing it shut. Now I'm getting frustrated because this flimsy little thing this little clover that you could just, like, breathe and it's flown off is just precariously there
for 10 years.
But then, like, he gets the flammable, like, gasoline. He gets fuel, and he soaks the leprechaun, like, inside the crate with fuel. He soaks the crate with fuel. He's gonna light it up and set it on fire. And I'm sitting here going, this is dumb, because the clover will burn before the crate does. So it's just gonna go. But that's just me being pedantic. Anyway, if you want to keep him in there, I'm just like, get some duct tape, get some gaffer tape, tape that sucker down, and it is stuck there. You're done. You're perfect. You're fine. You're dreaming. Off you go. But no, he decides to get the fuel and then panic and then find a lighter and then come back, and then the leprechaun says, "Don't have a stroke there, old mate," or whatever.
Yeah.
Says, "Don't have a stroke there." And then all of a sudden he, like, clutches his heart. He has a stroke. He's down on the ground. He couldn't set fire to it. And then that's the intro.
And then it fades out to black, and then you get the title card of 10 years later, and there's the Jeep driving through the mountainside with the worst voiceover.
With the worst voiceover. Worst voiceover. And it's also like, they've got a generic song. I was just sitting there.
Oh my god, I was like, what is the song they are playing?
I know.
It was like a country
Country song. Look, it says four-leaf clover and Lucky Charm, Shamrock. It just says some cluey words in there, and I'm like, all right, whatever. This is what we're in for.
This song does not suit the tone of this movie at all. It's a choice. It's an interesting choice.
It was a choice. And apparently this house that the Leprechaun is in, they've rented for the summer.
But it's a fixer-upper?
Yeah.
So are they renting a house to fix up and then leave?
Because they enter the house. She's complaining because she didn't want to be in, like, buttfuck nowhere for
the summer. So
the summer. She wanted to be in, she wanted to be in, like, a hotel or something like that. She just wanted to go shopping. She didn't want to be away from everything. And her dad was like, yes, the countryside. I'm like, are you a teenager or in your 20s? What is going on here? It's interesting.
She gets out of the car and it's just like the big earrings and like the dress. Actually, the dress is quite cute.
The dress is something you'd wear.
I would wear that dress.
No, it's cute. Yeah.
But she gets into the house and she's like, what is this? And there's so many cobwebs.
There's like cobwebs and dust and I don't know. Like I've gone to summer vacation houses and all that, and they've never been dusty. Like, I don't know, 1 star on Airbnb. It's terrible.
It was a lot. It was a set.
Yeah, I just don't get why they rented it because, like, they enter the house and she's on her phone trying to arrange for a hotel reservation.
What got me about the hotel reservation was she just calls a local hotel in, like, buttfuck nowhere, and she just knows their phone number.
Yeah, I'm like, do you need the Refidex, or do you need your yellow pages?
Or do you need help to get here? Like, how did you know? Oh, maybe I could have just, like, that 1, 2, 3, 4, and it directs you to where you want to go. But...
Well, I don't know, actually. I think back then, I do remember you would call some places, and they'd be like, are you after, I don't know, Meriton... this location, Meriton, this location, and you got to click right while tell the operator which one you want.
It was a choice. I feel like it was just not well thought through from the writers of just like, we're going to make a complaint that there's no hotel, and then just... But now we can look back like 20 years later, 30 years later, and analyze it to hell and go, wait, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, yeah.
It was fine. It was no biggie. Yeah. That's just what happened. But as she's running out of the house and she's all like panicked trying to find the hotel, she runs into the movie heartthrob, would you say? Love interest.
Generic muscles with a vest.
His name was Nathan.
His name is Nathan. He looks like a rip-off Aladdin.
He kind of reminded me of Billy from Stranger Things. With like his mullet, almost.
See, his purple vest and shirtlessness made me... Oh no, white shirt and purple vest made me go, you're Aladdin. You're totally Aladdin.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that was me. She runs into Nathan, and I don't know, they were total pricks to each other. Like,
they were both dicks. She offers him $20, and he's like, are you just going to apologise for running in and like dropping all of his paint thinner from his really weirdly dodgy child labour law painting company?
Yeah, anyway. But yeah, like, she bumps into him, spills all of his paint, and he's all like, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, she doesn't say I'm sorry. She's like, oh.
What is this? $20? Like,
yeah, $20.
Person hands him $20.
And he's all like, oh,
is that
you knocked
all?
over my paint and you offer me $20 or whatever.
She gives him like another $10.
She gives him another $10, and he's like, no, I'm looking for an apology. And she just went, oh. And what is it? They started having, I remember I wrote in my notes here, they had this discussion, and she was like, oh yeah, that's right, because I called Macho Man Nathan. And he makes a comment about her about women and shopping and all that. And she makes a comment back to him going, excuse me, what is this, 1950? This is the 90s. Women are treated equal. And I just went, lol.
Oh, man.
Say that to my IT degree.
But they introduced, and she just essentially runs away.
She runs off. That's it.
That's it.
They were dickheads to each other, and she walks off.
That's the introduction to Nathan, and you're like, cool. But then we get, like, the best 2 characters from this movie, I think.
Aussie and Alex.
Yes.
Aussie is your outdated trope of a overweight, dim-witted friend that wears, like, the loud shirts, like your comic relief kind of style.
Yeah, and Alex, he's the little brother of Nathan, I want to say. They didn't remember.
He's a little brother. He's a little brother of Nathan.
Yeah.
He's a little brother of Nathan, and I wrote down Alex equals Dennis the Menace.
You see, I wrote down, who the fuck is this Alex kid?
Because Alex has like that, usually, like he's wearing that cap. I don't know, is he wearing a cap? I don't know. All I know is he had that comically stripy shirt, and I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, welcome to the 90s, everyone. But we meet Aussie and Alex, your comic relief of the film. Well, the whole movie's not. Leprechaun's a comic relief. But
Aussie and Alex, I feel, drive the movie forward. And Jennifer Aniston and Nathan are just kind of like... Jennifer Aniston's character, by the way, is called Tori.
Oh, Tori, yeah.
We're just going to call her Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
That's her.
That's her. But yeah, Aussie and Alex, they were like the odd couple kind of crew. So you have your smart-ass 10-year-old kid.
And his adult best friend.
Yeah.
They're friends.
They're friends. The most toxic friendship I've ever seen in my entire life, but we'll go with it. It's quick to discover that they are contractors for the house. They are painting, they're painting the exterior of the house.
Very badly painting.
Very badly. They're painting the house like a bright blue and like primary blue and red. And I'm like, okay, is this play school?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a very saturated blue, and it was really distracting throughout the whole movie because Aussie's kind of covered in the paint the entire time.
He's covered in the paint.
And it's so distracting because the movie gets very dark.
Yeah,
and then you just see this blue, and you're like, what?
But they're painting, because you see shots of them painting the house on the outside, and the house is dusty, like outside. They haven't bothered washing or preparing the surface to paint. And they're painting a window. I remember they were painting a window red, and the window is like dilapidated. Like they're doing the shutter, and the shutter is falling off, and they're still painting it. And I'm like, do you want to...
They're not the people you want painting your house. They're a very questionable painting company.
Well,
Alex is like 10 and
Alex
he's
is
painting
10.
the house. So
was this before some child labour laws in the 90s? Like, what was going on?
It was a family business, maybe?
I can get family business.
It was interesting.
It was a time.
It was interesting.
But yeah, so after this whole altercation, then we get introduced to Alex and Aussie. We shoot back to, for some reason now, Jennifer Aniston / Tori, she's made 2 drinks and she's walking into the basement to meet Nathan, give a peace offering.
I think because she realised he was ripped and she's like, I can burn this person. Like, that's essentially
but at
it.
At the same time, right? At the same time, they're being dickheads to each other. Yeah. Second thing, they're contractors to paint the exterior of your house. Why are they in your basement? Second of all, why would you rent this house out for the summer?
I mean, maybe they're just like some rich people trying to get back to the country.
Oh,
they never really said why.
I don't know. It was weird to me.
It's a plot point reason. That's about it.
Like, I don't know. If they try to do a plot point of, hey, we've inherited this house, or hey, we're gonna go house sit O'Grady's
There's
house.
a reason this movie's 21%.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking too hard.
There's a reason this
I'm
movie's
thinking
21%.
too hard. All right, I'll stop. Okay.
Oh, I love you way too hard. There's a reason.
Anyway, she offers a peace offering, and I don't know, they make friends, and
he accepts it, I guess.
He accepts it, and then they're all painting the house together outside.
Yeah.
And then Aussie goes into the basement, and he hears the screaming.
Well, because she fell over. So Nathan had scared her with the drinks, and she fell over the crate, and the clover fell off, or something had happened to the crate.
That's right, the clover fell off, yeah.
The leprechaun off.
That's right.
And he's like, I'm awake now. What's going on?
But then they hear a yell from outside, and that's because...
And they go back outside because Alex and Aussie had spilled the paint all over
Dennis
each other.
And Menace spilled the paint, yeah.
Essentially happened. But the clover's off now, and Leprechaun's waking back up again. So when Aussie goes back inside, Leppy is like, hey, little child, come let me out of the crate.
Yeah.
Just like Mrs. O'Grady. And he does his normal trick. It works. He gets down there and...
Yeah, Aussie lets him out because he's supposed to be the dim-witted friend that makes all the stuff-ups, and he lets the dude out, Leppy out.
Yep, he lets him out, but then no one believes...
No one believes Aussie.
No one believes Aussie that a leprechaun attacked him. Because the leprechaun he has a weird shoe thing. The
shoe thing, he has to clean shoes and set them together
6 times, and then at the end they're like throwing shoes at him to distract him.
That's a leprechaun mythology. Yeah. That's a common thing. So that was a little ode to leprechaun mythology. So Aussie starts crying, runs out, crying to Nathan and Alex and all them, saying, "Hey, the leprechaun, he got out." And one thing I really enjoyed here was Nathan didn't actually belittle Aussie.
He didn't write him off as yeah, whatever.
Alex did. Alex, a little 10-year-old, I call him the toxic friend because he just immediately rolled his eyes, pretty much calling him stupid, and just didn't have it. He literally said to Aussie, "You're embarrassing me." Whereas Nathan went, I'll go check it out. It's all right. I'll see if I can find this leprechaun. It's okay. And then when Aussie goes, no, don't. It's dangerous. He even Nathan did arm himself with a stick to be like, okay, I've got a big stick. And then
Aussie's like, that stick's not big enough. Oh, is this when Aussie comes running out of the house and there's a rainbow?
That was just after this bit. Just after, because they go down in the basement and they try and find the noise, and it was a rat. They found a rat. You know, that comic relief of everyone goes to check it out, and it was a rat all along. Everyone believes it's a rat. It wasn't a leprechaun. Aussie's just being Aussie. And then they walk outside, and you see the most worst CGI. I didn't think it was CGI. I think it was just like a JPEG image that they just... Well, not JPEG. It's just a photo that they just masked layered it down just to be like, hey, rainbow there.
My brain went straight to like, somewhere.
It didn't even look like a rainbow. Well, it did, but the coloring was really
It was interesting.
It was interesting.
It was a choice. But that's Alex and Aussie... Because at this point, Jennifer Aniston and Nathan have gone downstairs to go find what essentially was a rat. They've buggered off to go, Aussie ran away because he's like, well, screw you then, Alex. Like, don't believe me.
Yeah, no, Aussie went, I'm going to go, like, everyone come take a look. Let's go take a look. Let's go take a look. So and everyone's like, no, we're not. We've got work to do. And so Aussie ran off, and then Alex went, I'll make sure he stays out of trouble, like always.
And they find that really old, random, rusty car that's just chilling there.
Oh, yeah, some rusty truck or whatever.
It reminded me of very, like, a Chainsaw Massacre sort of thing.
Oh, like, they always escape in the bag? Yeah.
A rusty ute. Like, every movie at some point has a rusty dead ute. And it's like...
Australian to everyone else terminology, a ute is a utility truck.
It's a truck with a tray.
It's a truck with a tray.
We
call them utes. Anyway.
So Aussie's like, oh, cool. Now there's a truck. I'm a bit distracted. I'm good to go. He's all happy again. Alex is kind of half-assed apologised. Not really. He's a bit of a dick.
Alex was a big dick.
He
just kept calling him dumb because they go into the truck. Aussie finds a coin.
They find the bag.
Well, they find a coin.
They find the bag, and then they go, oh, I saw on a TV show that if you bite it, you can find out if it's real or not.
Yeah.
And then he bites it, and he swallows it.
He swallows it, yeah. He actually swallows the coin. Like, so, key plot point. Aussie swallows a coin. And Alex has the bag. And you know what the first thing Alex says about getting this bag is, Aussie, we can put you in surgery to fix your brain so you won't be stupid anymore.
We can make you smarter.
And I'm like,
what?
Aussie's like, what? Why? I'm not smart? Like, Aussie is completely...
What do you mean?
And Aussie's like, I'm not smart? And I'm like, this Alex kid, what the frick?
Oh, but he has so many, like, one-liners as well. Like, he's just so... Like, Aussie swallows a coin by accident, and Alex is like, oh, well, nice going, Jaws.
Yeah.
He's interesting. He's
an interesting kid, so he's a smart-ass kid.
Yeah. Like, operation to be smart, and it's like, shut up, Alex. Just shut it.
But then I have this big in capitals here saying, what's with them hiding the gold? Because the main plot point, like, you're Grady did it. You get the gold, you hide the gold. Alex was like, we've got to hide the gold. Let's take one now to go get, like... Appraised. Like, trade it in and see how much it will get us. And let's hide the rest. And Aussie was like, well, why do we hide it? And Alex goes,
well.
You know how adults are. We'll hide it in a well.
Oh, all their problems always come from money.
Adults' problems always come from money. Like, I mean, yeah, okay,
They're
true.
not wrong.
You're not wrong.
You're also 10.
You're also 10. That's okay.
Who are your parents?
Put it in an interest account, you dipshit. But anyway.
He's 10.
He's 10.
No, so they just kind of...
They do their thing. They're hiding the gold.
They hide it in the well. He's like, I'm just going to go hide it in the well because I guess if I was hiding something in the sticks, I'd hide it in the well too.
I wouldn't hide shit in a well because what happens, like, if I don't know, like, the weight distribution in that bucket that they hide it in gets out.
Make sure the bucket's good before you put it in the well.
Yeah, what if someone else accesses the well?
Well, they're in the
what if rich people from rich people town go, oh, look, a well, let's pretend we're poor and use the well and wheel it up, and then they find it?
Yeah, I do that with wells. Wells are really fun when you find them. You're like, oh, a handle,
I can turn a handle.
Play with it.
Yeah, that's it.
It's
that's
not
it.
like I always see what's in there. It's say, is the chick from The Ring in here?
Samara, hello.
Hello. 7 days still. All good for you too. See you then. Oh man, we got way sidetracked.
Yeah, we did. Anyway, they're also hiding in the well. Nathan and Tori are having a moment. They're painting the window.
She's attempting to paint,
They're painting, but my personal favourite is she's got a paintbrush and she's painting. And then when she's done painting, she looks down to put it in a bucket of paint, and there is no bucket of paint to top that.
Drops it on the ground.
Well, no, she gives it back to him because he's like, I'll go get another bucket of paint for you because we need another one. I'm like, where was your first one to dip that in? Like, where is it? You're obviously not painting anything on there. Like, where is this extra bit of paint?
The prop master was away that day. But like, yeah, so he walks off and then Jennifer Aniston goes over to the truck to go get like something out of it. I don't know what she was getting.
She says, well, I'll impress you with my paint knowledge.
I'm a handy woman. I'm a strong, independent woman who doesn't want to get boned. I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong.
I'm just imagining Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine in this clip where, like, you have to insert it, where he's like, a bone!
But, so he walks away, she goes to the ute, and
Leppy's just, like, weirdly caressing
her leg,
like, ankle,
and she
thigh.
thinks it's Nathan, and I'm like,
he's obviously walking out the way.
Did you think he's just, like, military crawled under the truck just to stroke your leg?
See, I like to think Leppy just wanted to pat her shoes, not so much her leg, because he had a weird shoe thing.
He was caressing her leg.
It was so weird. Yeah, so she thought it was Nathan, and then she's like, Nathan, what are you doing
here?
Yeah,
she was just like, she's biting her lip, getting all excited, and like,
man.
You 90s people are into some weird shit.
She's just standing there randomly getting touched under that sun.
She was getting touched under a truck.
It's weird.
It's so weird. But
then like she goes like, oh, Nathan.
Like Nathan's behind her, and he just looks at her, and she looks over his shoulder, and she's like, oh shit, Nathan's there. And that's when Leppy like full on claws her leg.
And then like JD's come running out, Alex, Aussie,
everyone comes running.
Everyone's going like, oh my god, Jennifer Aniston, are you okay? And she's like, oh my gosh, Nathan, I thought you were like touching my leg. And then he's like, you let me?
She's like, would you let me? And I'm like, this is a time and place, dude. I don't get it. That was the most weirdest place line ever.
Oh, it was so weird.
And, but anyway.
Yeah, so then they're like, oh, that's not good. And then they thought, because she's scratched, that it's a cat.
That it was a cat, and they hear this really bad meow, meow.
It's just Leppy doing his impersonation thing again that he's already done, because I guess at this point
he can mimic voices.
Well, they never established it, but they had, and it's like, oh, this is a thing.
No, they established in the beginning when he mocked what's his name's wife.
But all he's done is like kid voices, and that's to get free.
He did the wife's voice, remember? He was over her shoulder and...
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, okay, yeah, no, you're right.
Like, it was a very, like, just assume he's already got a voice changer. But
I just imagine Ghostface like, what's your favourite scary movie?
But anyway, it's cat impersonation.
I think it's JD over there with the tree, and he's like, oh, there's a cat in the log.
Like, you got scratched by a cat, and they hear the cat voices from a tree, and there's this hole in the tree, and like, oh, the cat must be stuck, and
so like JD puts his hand in like the tree trunk, and he's like, oh, it's just a cat. We're gonna try and get you out, kitty. And it's not a freaking cat, it's Leppy, and he like noms on his hand big time.
Yeah, big bite in his hand.
Big massive like zombie bite essentially. Like The Walking Dead would be proud.
The Walking Dead would be proud. Like it was like +1 for gore effects on that hand. It was actually really good.
And they take JD to the hospital. They freak out. They're like, oh, that's not a good thing. They shove him in the painter's ute, and off they go. And that's the last you see of JD.
They shove him in the painter's ute when they could have just... here's the thing. They shove him in the painter's ute. So the guys, the painters, they all pile into that car. And then the wiring's bad, and they get the kid out to just jiggle the wires.
Like, it just jiggle?
He just
like,
jiggles
hey,
it.
10-year-old child, jiggle, jiggle, jiggle.
Jiggles the wires under the hood, and then suddenly the car starts. And I'm just like, didn't we drive in here in a Jeep? Sorry, like, what?
It's weird.
And didn't you all just drive? I don't get it, because they have a perfectly functioning car, but they chose to take the busted up car.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
I like to think they just panicked.
They just
and
panicked.
they were like, oh shit, the zombie cat ate him. Let's just get in the car.
The zombie cat ate him.
Let's just go.
Yeah, but they gun it to the hospital.
But it's a good reason, though, for Aussie and Alex to go to the pawn shop, though, and get that coin evaluated that they had found those. So they were like, yes, we'll take JD to hospital. But also, this random pawn shop, which they never said it, but the pawn shop owner's name in the credits is called Joe.
Oh, okay.
So Joe, the pawn shop owner.
Yeah. At first I thought it was weird because it wasn't advertised as a pawn shop. It was advertised as a collectible.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, toys and antiques and shit.
That's what I thought too.
But then it did make sense that they brought it in for a coin to be looked at.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, you've got toys out the front, but okay.
It's like in It Chapter 2 where like Stephen King's the owner of the antique store and he's just got everything.
Yeah.
He's just got everything. He knows what he's got and...
But yeah, they go to the collectible shop, and I fucking hate Alex because they give the collectible guy the coin to look at overnight, and the guy writes them a receipt to be like, hey, you left this here overnight, you can come collect it in the morning.
He's legit, he's not sketchy.
He's not sketchy.
He's fine.
He just said, because he was closing up for the night, he goes,
Yeah.
I'll check it and you'll have it ready by morning. Here's a receipt so you can come and get it back. But then, like, Aussie goes, do you think it could be a leprechaun coin? And you just pan to Alex, and Alex is just like, rolling his eyes, going, ugh, and then he goes, oh.
Yeah.
Then there's that comic relief of, oh, never
But
mind.
then it goes to, because at this point, yeah, like JD's just, he's gone.
JD's gone for the
don't
rest of
see
the film.
him
He's
again.
done. His character's
he's
done.
done skis. So the main focus now on the movie is Alex and Aussie and their adventure with this queen, I guess. And Jennifer Aniston and Nathan are kind of just there.
Yeah, well,
Their
love story's weird. So then we get skipped to a diner that has Tori and Nathan in because they're waiting for results to see how JD's going, and I don't know, they kind of just ditch him later because he's never seen until the end of the film.
Well, they just say they're going to keep him overnight for a zombie cat bite, and that's it. They're like, okay, here's a really awkwardly, weirdly lit diner scene where Jennifer Aniston's like, they don't have the type of salad that I want.
Oh yeah, she came in ordering she kind of like flip-flopped between
pretentious rich bitch and I'm trying to be humble and
back to
get
pretentious
along
rich
with this person.
Yeah, and then she's like, I wanted this type of water and this kind of salad, but they don't have it. And I'm like, you can't be that much of a dumb shit.
But what got me though, Nathan's like, Tori, you need to eat more, you're too thin. Here's some meatloaf.
He was commenting on her weight, offering her his meatloaf, and then she went, no, I'm a vegetarian. And
he took off her shoe.
I
was like, but this is a dead cow.
And he just became one of those well actually guys. Yeah. And just being like, this is a dead cow, this is made from leather. And I'm just like, okay,
They don't take a shoe off, but also that shoe was very laced.
That was very laced. But like at the same time, like, I don't know, I hate this because back then, alternative leather shoes, vegetarian leather, was not as accessible or easy to find. Like, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. You got to find your sacrifices.
They don't need.
They didn't add anything to them.
They just wanted a scene with Tori and Nathan alone. And that's what this is. It's uncomfortable. It's awkward. It doesn't need to be there.
I saw him get his meal, and he had a side plate of, like, I couldn't remember if it was veggies or salad, but he had a side plate of vegetarian stuff. Just give her that. It was in its own freaking bowl. Give her that with a spoon if you're trying to help.
It was an interesting choice. It was... If something had to be cut from that movie, that diner scene would be
that diner scene, yeah, because then that was them going, oh, where is Alex and Aussie?
Because you think they're progressing as like characters, and then it just goes straight back to step one.
It does,
and it's like, okay, I thought they were trying.
They were trying, but no, they didn't.
It was just the meeting place, yeah, for them to drop Aussie, to drop JD off at the hospital, and then Aussie and Alex did their thing, and they're just kind of like chilling, waiting for them to come back. And that's about it.
That's really. About it, yeah. Because then you cut from that. They all catch up together and they go back to the farmhouse. O'Grady's place. They go back to. They called it the O'Grady farm, didn't they?
I can't
remember. They go back to the shack, and the chalet, the farmhouse. I think they called it the O'Grady farmhouse. I think the police did. But anywho, they go back. But then you cut to the collectible guy. And he's got this piece of gold that he's analysing. You know, he's being legit. He gets out his old book of coins. He goes to a page. He tries to take a look. Yeah.
But Leprechaun's, like, hot-wired a little tricycle.
He's digging, like, his
booking for, like, the city with them. He's just going for it. So he's like, ding, 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 ding. And when they're the pawn shop owner, you hear the bell go. Yep. And he's like, that's no noise. Like, I'm inside.
I'm by myself. I've locked up for the day.
I have toys, but like, the fuck.
Yeah. And then the leprechaun comes out going, where's me gold?
And he's like, what?
What's going on? But then, this guy, so...
He has a pretty cool death.
He has a pretty cool death. The leprechaun finds a pogo stick and he's just going at this guy. Like, he gets him on the ground. Like, I think, what does he do?
He's just, like, attacking.
Because he first attacked his leg and then he's down the ground. He can't move his neck.
He's gone.
And the leprechaun grabs a pogo stick and he just keeps pogoing his chest and lungs.
Do you imagine being that shop owner and just hearing that and being like, how would this leprechaun arrive in the shop and then be like, I'm going to be murdered by a leprechaun and a pogo stick? Like, how would his obituary read?
Well, the leprechaun makes this noise from his safe, wasn't it? And he jumps at him from the safe.
He jumps from the safe.
He jumps from the safe, and then he bites the guy's knee, and that just brings him down to the ground.
He's a chompy little dude.
He's got chompers. And then the leprechaun grabs a pogo stick, and you see where this is going. He starts puncturing the chest and the lung. What I want to know is, he doesn't touch the guy's face whatsoever, but somehow the guy's face is just covered in lacerations, English, and blood and everywhere. I'm like, okay, all right.
I like to think it's just the splatter from the pogo stick and him hitting deck and being attacked by a leprechaun. I mean, maybe it's that, or again, the continuity person was away on set with the prop master person and no one thought about it.
The continuity person was away most of this film. He was just a no-show. Chucked a sickie every day.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It was an interesting death, and then that's about it really for that character. I liked the character. He was a good...
It was like a good character.
I liked more about him. He could be that cool person who comes and goes, this is the law. This is how you defeat a leprechaun. Like, he could have been...
He could have come down with one of his, like, mythology history books and just came in and laid down. Yeah, no, he had so much potential because...
He had so much.
He wasn't the dodgy collectible guy. Because normally, there's a trope that they portray out of all the stereotype tropes they had in this film. They didn't portray the collectible guy as a seedy...
creepy,
money grubby person. No, like, he was legit.
He was nice. He was happy to help the kid. Like, he was just a great guy. Like, I would have liked to see more of Joe.
I would like to see more of Joe, but he died very quickly as soon as he came in.
He would have had a fun obituary.
But then my personal favourite is, so they all came back to the house, all the kids, ambiguous kids, the ambiguous kids came back to the house, and without JD, he's done for the film. He doesn't show up to, like, the credit scene. And the leprechaun has stolen a little toy car from the collectible place, and it's, like, got teddy bears and all that, and he's just...
It has the pogo stick in the back.
And he's just beeping down the highway on the back to the house.
Yeah.
This leprechaun that can teleport, by the way, is beeping down the highway.
He takes, like, every form of transport he can possibly do. But then he does mention at one point at the end of the movie, his magic's not quite strong enough.
Without his coins.
He needs his coins for his magic. So I guess they compensate his interest in public transport ways.
They pick and choose. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But he's beeping down the highway, and then this cop is sitting there. So the trope of the cop with the donut is just sitting there watching cars go by. And he watches this little beep go flying down the highway, and he pulls him over. And I'm like, is this cop going to literally give this leprechaun a speeding ticket? But no, thinks this leprechaun is a kid. This wrinkly-ass leprechaun is a kid. But then he calls it a mask, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like, cheap mask, and the leprechaun's just like, I'm 600 years old. And he's like, yeah, sure you are, kid.
But then he's like swearing his head off at this leprechaun that he's thinking is a kid. I'm like, okay, you're an asshole.
He's clearly driving a toy car. And he's not concerned about that. Like, he's just like, this is a hunk of plastic and you're probably doing 80 Ks down this road.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, is a child. The fuck?
But anyway, then we go on to the longest chase scene that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, that was the reshoot, because the movie originally was meant to be a horror slasher. And then they decided last minute to make it a horror comedy.
What, at that point they decided to make it a comedy?
Well, they had shot it and then they had to reshoot some scenes, and that's why so many scenes kind of drag out a little bit, and there's lots of weird cuts to, like, Leppy making lots of one-liners.
Yeah.
And the biggest scene that I could find that they referenced was the biggest film recut, whatever it's called, was that chase scene. And it's also the scene everyone's saying they could just get rid of.
That's it. Because, like, Leppy does a really gnarly looking...
Next.
Well, not before that. When he first initiates the chase scene, is when he puts his claw into the guy's face.
You think he's just gonna like rip his face off like Freddy?
I thought he was about to rip his face off, but no, it just does a really gnarly looking scar all over. Like he's clawing into his face without actually fully ripping it off. So just torturing him, kind of. And that was pretty gnarly looking. Like that was pretty cool.
I would have let that go. It's like, oh yeah, no, you just know he's dead.
The effects for that was pretty cool, but then they trailed it out in the world's longest chase scene.
The only thing about that scene I did like was the way it was lit. You got to actually see Leppy's face in light in a little bit. And you can actually kind of appreciate his costume and the makeup.
I appreciate the puppetry. Well, not puppetry, because there was a dude in that suit.
Yeah.
So, but I kind of appreciated that. But it was just a long scene. Like, it was longer than a Scooby-Doo chase scene. It was just one-liners, cop running around, and then you have this, like, what I would only call, like, a Warner Brothers composed soundtrack in the background of, like, almost very cartoony, very Pepe Le Pew background track chasing, like, when they would go the Leprechaun running after him, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, I can't take this seriously. Well, I couldn't take it seriously to begin with, but now
helping the
now
case.
This is not helping because you're taking this movie too seriously.
Oh, but that was the thing, they tried not to take it seriously, and it's like, oh no, no.
Cop dies, Leppy gets him. What was his murder about? That was
the cop's murder.
Yeah, that was
he had the neck snap.
That's right, because he sat on his shoulders.
He jumped from the trees, and he just like
snapped his neck, and then he started like flopping his head around.
Yeah, and he was like a really bad puppet.
That was it. Yeah, I did find that
it was
pretty
cool.
That was pretty
fun.
The
deaths in this movie, there were only like 4 or 5. They were pretty good. I don't think anyone's... I was like, well, that was a shitty death.
No, like, if anything, the wife at the beginning was too... Like, I would say that was generic of tossing her down the stairs.
I think the generic
puppeting her afterwards was probably pretty cool.
Yeah, there's one death I'm a bit like, could have done better with that, and which is we could have brought Joe, the pawn shop owner, back in a bit more to get rid of that other death that we like... That's
I know, because he was an interesting character. He would have brought a lot more into the film, I believe.
If we rewrote it, it would be different.
Because at this point, when they returned to the house, we were like, oh, final battle, that's it. We're returning to the house. It's going to be the end of the film.
Oh my god, my notes, I literally wrote down, because like, I structure my notes as like opening, setup, like middle, and then final climax. That's sort of finishing.
Mm.
And I wrote my little line in the notes saying, like, final. And then I had to scribble it out. And then I had to write again later. Actual final.
Yeah, no, this is when I stopped taking notes because it just got too long. And I remember most of it. It's fine. We only watched it about an hour ago.
I got to the point of, like, this movie has to be done soon. Like, I was entertained the entire time. It wasn't that bad. Like, I was like, this is a bad movie, but I'm enjoying this bad movie.
You were so into your notes, I thought you hated it.
No, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is not as bad as I remember it being.
Yeah.
And then I remembered there's this one other character who has to come back and die. And I'm like, fuck, we have 20 minutes of this still.
Yep.
And then I was done.
Yep.
Then I was done.
Oh, God. But anyway,
man.
so Cop's dead. The people, the main characters, the protagonists are back in the house.
But Leppy's back at the house though as well.
Leppy's back at the house. He's managed to get back there.
And then cause
they come back in the house and it's like dusty AF. And then the chick she has a hissy fit and she's like, I'm out of here, and walks out.
Oh no, it's too dark.
And she's like, it's too dark, and then comes back in. I'm like, what was that?
I related to that. I've done that before. Like I've gone outside to go do something and I'm like, it's too dark, I'll do it later.
But doesn't this company, this 3-person company, have a place to stay the night? Doesn't Nathan and his kid brother have parents to go to?
21%.
Do they?
21%.
Why are they staying?
21%.
I know, 21% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever.
That's all I'm saying.
But did they not have somewhere to go? Because they're like making themselves at home in this house that her and her dad has rented out.
Although I do want their lounge suite though.
They have dusty ass lounge suite. I know.
Cleaner. But Leppy's in the kitchen eating Lucky Charms, and oh my gosh,
the Lucky Charms.
Okay, so Fun fact, the company actually had permission from Lucky Charms themselves to use the box Lucky Charms and the word Lucky Charms and their whole brand as a general. They watched the final movie and Lucky Charms is like, what the fuck have you put our product into? No. So they changed them to Lucky Clovers. As printed on the box. They made a dupe and that's what they called it. And it's not really a spoiler, you know what's going to happen at the end. But then Alex, the little dick kid, goes like, fuck you, Lucky Charms. I'm just like, oh my god, I lost it reading that. I was like, that makes everything worth it just for that.
Nathan goes outside and he walks into the smallest bear trap I've ever seen.
I think it was a rabbit trap.
But they called it a bear trap. But yeah, it looked like a rabbit trap because... Okay.
We don't have bears in
Australia. We don't have bears or rabbits. Well, we don't have rabbits in Queensland.
In New South Wales.
They're banned in Queensland.
Yeah.
But it was a bear trap that was very small. But anyway, Nathan gets his foot stuck in a bear trap. And I called it the sexy trap. And that's when the leprechaun shows up.
Yeah, and that's when everyone's like, oh shit, Aussie's legit. He's not lying. Like, but then they still doubt, like, that wasn't a leprechaun.
Yeah.
And it takes her a while to go, there's a leprechaun.
Because Aussie's calling it a leprechaun, and she's like, it's not a leprechaun. I don't know what it is, but it's not a leprechaun. I'm like...
Well, like, he has cute little shoes, and he looks like a leprechaun. He talks like a leprechaun. He walk like a duck, he quack like a duck.
It's
like a leprechaun.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, it looks like even if it was like a murderer in a costume, it's dressed as a leprechaun, call it a fucking leprechaun.
She's so dismissive of it. Oh, I'm like, this thing is legit horrifying to you guys. But you're still so dismissive of, it's fine.
Anyway, then they find a shotgun.
Oh my god, the shotgun. Oh my god, the shotgun.
They find a shotgun. And
oh my god, the shotgun.
They have a bit of a kerfuffle. And they shoot the leprechaun a few times. They finally get him, and they does that trope of, oh look, he gets back up again.
Well, this is after he shot him like 6 times and he legs it into the forest.
Yeah.
But then also my thing is like I don't know much about guns and stuff in general. It's just funny because that thing is like attached to Nathan for the rest of the movie and all he does is shoot that gun and miss. Or he does hit him and go, I got him! Even though the last 6 bullets you put in him still hasn't taken him down. But that one you just did, that was the one. It's like, dude, no.
But then like, so they shoot him and he gets down and then they run off they all try to get into the truck again. The truck that requires the jingling cables to work when there is a working Jeep on the property. So they have a Jeep that is available that they drove in the beginning of the film, but they all want to clamber in the front seat. All of them in the front seats of this ute. So you know that they can fit in the Jeep. But anywho, they all get into this Jeep and they realize it doesn't start and the kid has to go start it and they have to jiggle the wires. And the kid goes and opens the bonnet.
And surprise!
Leprechaun's chewing on the wires.
He's got it in his mouth. He's having a good old dinner.
Though, my personal favourite is, like, after he terrorises them a bit. So, Leppy here, who has burst out of crates, like, he's burst out of safes, like, he's burst out of a lot of things, is stuck behind these car windows. He decides to go into the barn and come out with his little go-kart.
Oh, it's a little race car go-kart thing. Because he like takes the thing, like the ignition from the car and like puts it in the other thing. Because they're all sitting in the ute still. They're just sitting there going, what are you doing? He's clearly like welding in the barn. Let's not leg it now. No, let's stay in the car while he's off fart-assing around. And it's like, dude, I don't get it.
And then he comes out in this go-kart with a pitchfork on it, and he just robot wars the truck over. Like he goes over to them, and apparently his little pitchfork tips the car over. And I'm just like, that's not how it works, but okay. Horror for horror's sake.
Oh, so you'll like leg it back inside, I guess. Like,
yeah.
They just go back inside, and that's when Jennifer Aniston's like, my portable!
Her phone, yeah. She's had a mobile phone this entire time and doesn't bother. But then it's out of battery. She managed to get through. She gets through the cops.
She got through the cops. So this is after, though, Aussie has already used the landline, though, like, when they first got back to the house.
Yes.
And Aussie's called the police and gone, there's a leprechaun here, please save us.
Yeah.
And the police on the other end are like, no, like last week it was unicorns. Like, oh, it's just Aussie being Aussie sort of thing. So they dismiss him.
Yeah.
And then when Jennifer Aniston calls back, they're like, oh, shit. Like, okay, maybe something's actually going on at that farm.
Yeah.
So the sheriff calls it in, as he would. And then the reply is the cop that Leppy had snapped the neck before earlier, and he's like, oh yeah, no, I've got this, it's fine. And the cops never show up because Leppy's convinced them that it's fine, there's a cop out there, it's all good. So that's how they stopped the police from getting out there for so long, which is interesting because they dismissed it and then they re-dismissed it. Yeah.
But then so Aussie lets it slip that he's after his gold and they have their gold. And then time Alex is like, shh, don't tell him about the gold. I'm like, dude, just give him the gold.
That's all he wants.
And so Jennifer Aniston goes out and she goes to the well and pulls up the gold, and then this leprechaun magics himself there, and she's like, here, take the gold, take it, it's gone. And he goes, oh yeah, got me gold, smells like my gold, sounds like my gold, looks like my gold.
It's me gold.
This joke goes on for like 10 minutes. And then she runs back into the house screaming because she's as subtle as a boss. And she goes back into the house screaming, and the leprechaun's there counting his gold.
Because he counts the entire movie. Like, they set up that he counted his 100 coins at the start of the movie. He counted his 100 coins now. And then he realizes, oh no, I have 99 coins.
Yeah, 99 coins and 100. And
so they did set that up, but they didn't say directly there's 100 coins.
They didn't say there was 100 coins, no. But he says, I've got one missing, and that's when you deduce that it's the one that's in Aussie's stomach. By then, the group have taken a breather. They're all about to leave to go to the hospital to treat
everything.
To treat the bear trap leg.
Yeah.
Alex goes to the fridge, opens the fridge door, and surprise, leprechaun!
There he is. He's like, give me my coins.
Give my coins back. And oh god, this is when we all the movie's got to end now, right?
Oh, this is what I thought. The movie has to end now. There's one coin left. It's in Aussie. You're like, oh shit, he's gonna go after Aussie.
Yeah.
And this is when I wrote down, fuck, I have 20 minutes of this still.
Yeah.
And
then so they what do? They chase him outside or whatever, and they lock themselves back in the house.
Yeah.
And I think that's when they tell the story about O'Grady. Like, O'Grady had the house before. He'll know what to do. He trapped him once before, possibly. He's the guy to go to. The guy at the start of the movie that no one has mentioned. We all thought he died.
Who had the stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy's in a nursing home now. And so they decide, okay, Tori's going to go by herself to the nursing home to see this guy.
We got the most conveniently placed paperwork on the security desk of all the room numbers and all the patient names with the sleepy security guard with the hat. And I'm like, oh my god.
So she jumps in the Jeep and drives to the
She gets in the
Jeep.
Jeep.
And I'm like, that car that worked this entire time, you jumped into the bloody Jeep. Okay. And she drives to the nursing home and finds the convenient... Yep. Oh, no, wait, sorry. I skipped this bit. The leprechaun is on roller skates.
Oh my god, the roller skates. Yes. I like his initiative with finding things with wheels.
He's on roller skates. He's tailing the back of it, holding onto her bumper bar and just tailing it. And then he does that comic relief of walls. He crashes into a fence and Wile E. Coyotes it. His silhouette is cut out of the fence, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just really.
That was pretty fun. I did like the roller
This is when I sat here going, this movie was an R rating.
Yeah, you had to Google to double check that it was an R, because we were discussing it before this, and I was like, no, it's an R rating, and you were like, no, it can't be.
It can't be. It has to be MAM, because in Australia, films are rated G for general audience, PG for parental guidance, M for mature, MA 15 plus. So the difference between M and MA 15 is you can go see an M movie, just you got to be 15 plus. MA 15 strictly. M15, if you have a parent with you, they can take you.
Is it MA 15?
Well, a kid can't... Well, we're very relaxed here. We don't really enforce it. But basically, an M15 movie you could a parent could buy you the ticket and that would be fine. An MA-15, parent has to be with you, and then we have R-18 where you have to be over the age of 18 strictly to see the film.
It's pretty hard to get a rating in Australia. That's an R, because majority are MA-15 plus, which is the highest they will go in a movie theatre without... They just won't show R in movie theatre.
Well, used to. I think Ready or Not got an R rating.
In America, though. In Australia, it's only like MA.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, our rating system, if it's an R movie in Australia, like...
Freddy vs. Jason got an R here.
Yeah, on DVD. After the cuts.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's weird. Our ratings are weird.
Well, it wasn't until, like, 2012 did Australia get R-rated video games.
Well, exactly. Like, our rating system changed.
Because we got to see R-rated films but video games. I remember we had, like, I remember Left 4 Dead 2, that got an R rating, and we had a heavily edited version of it. Like, bodies, like, when you killed a zombie, the body would just, like, disappear. There'd be no blood or anything, and I'm like, no.
That's why we have so many director's cuts.
Yeah.
We have lots of theatricals, and then we have a director's cut, and then it's good luck finding a theatrical after that, because they just get rid of it.
This all got rectified, though. We're not like that anymore. But, yeah, welcome to Australia in the 90s and early 2000s. Anywho, so they're in the nursing home. She sneaks past the one security guard that they have who's asleep at his desk.
But there's no employees.
There's no employees.
As well, at all.
Yeah, in a nursing home. There's always, like, late night workers in case, things. But anyway,
leprechauns.
Leprechauns. In case leprechauns. But there's a convenient placed clipboard on the security guard's desk that says, hey, yes, this is a list of everyone in their rooms. She finds Dan O'Grady, and she walks over to his room. She goes through 50 million hallways, goes to his room, and surprise! It's a leprechaun.
Yeah.
And she books it, she runs.
He's still in the wheelchair that he was sitting in.
He's in the wheelchair!
He's booking it, and Jennifer Aniston's like, oh no, the elevator! And she gets in the elevator, and Leprechaun's like smashes into the wall, because he's going so fast in his sped up scene.
her running scenes were just a normal pace, and he was just sped up.
It was fun. It's comedic.
Like, it's comedic.
So he smashes into the elevator doors, and surprise, surprise, Dan O'Grady falls out of the ceiling.
Yeah, Dan O'Grady falls out of the ceiling. Like, he's halfway out of the ceiling. He's covered in wires, so he's been attacked, and he goes to her going, I knew he would come and finish the job one day. No one believed me. And Dan O'Grady's looking very young for someone to be in a nursing home, but okay.
10 years later.
Yeah, but okay, all right, we'll go here.
Yeah.
And anyway, she gets the secrets on how to kill him, because he's like, you gotta kill him. And she's like, how?
The 4-leaf clover must be put on him.
Freshly plucked. And I'm like, yours was not fresh. It was on your fucking bedside table. But okay.
And it just cuts. He dies.
That's it.
That's how he died. That's why I'm like, get rid of his character completely. Kill him off in the first scene. And bring back Joe. Justice for Joe.
Justice for Joe. Because somehow it didn't even tell you how she escaped the broken elevator. She's back in the Jeep riding back to the farm. Like, what?
But then she gets out from the Jeep back at the farm, and then she's just straight to this really weirdly green lip, which pissed you off.
Oh, pissed me off. So she runs to a clover patch. So apparently there was a clover patch on this farm that we never knew about. But the way that this film makes you show that it's a clover patch is they've shined a green spotlight on it.
It's so bad.
So you don't see there's actual clovers. It just looks like weeds. But there is a green spotlight, and you can see because when they walk over it, there is a green light on their hands and their shoes and their legs.
We'll have to take like a screenshot and like post it.
Yes. We will.
You know, I don't know what we're talking about.
But
it's bad.
It's bad. But like she instead of going into the farmhouse going, guys, I learned the secret. No. She just goes straight to the clover patch. Mm-hmm. So if she died there, she lets the secret die with her, without telling anybody.
Like, to see your friends too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
But this is all in the same day. So poor Aussie's just like, I just need to poop it out.
I just need to shit out this coin and we're fine.
Can I just tell him to give me a couple of hours, some juice maybe?
How is he not suffocating on this coin?
That's a big-ass coin.
But anywho... Anyway, the leprechaun spots her and he's like, little girls shouldn't be looking for 4-leaf clovers. And they have this chase scene. She gets back in the house and goes, guys, I know the answer. We gotta find 4-leaf clovers.
so bad. And then he's like jumping around from like kitchen pantry to like the oven, and Nathan's with his freaking gun again.
With the gun again.
And he's just shooting away the kitchen.
They do this joke for a good 10 to 20 minutes. Okay, 10 to 15, but it's
too long.
It's too long. Like, it's like, surprise is not, like, there's a set of like 3 cupboard doors, and he's like, surprise, I'm in the middle one, and then he closes the door, and then they open the middle one, he's not there, and he's like, surprise, I'm in the left one.
This is after they've already done this with like the trees for the cop. They did it in the pawn shop. Now they're here doing it again in the kitchen.
Oh.
It's like, we got it.
He's a trickster. We got it. They all run. That's right. They shoot him. They manage to shoot him, which incapacitates him for a few minutes. And they all run out to the clover patch to start digging for clovers.
Yeah.
And then she's getting frustrated, being like, Jennifer Aniston's going, we're not going to find clovers here. We're not going to find anything.
Well, where's the part? I think we might have missed it, where she's seen the cop cars in the distance at some point as well. And she's like, oh my God, a cop car. And she gets in the car, and it's the freaking corpse of the cop that Leppy's already killed.
Oh, that was probably on her way back to the house.
And all my notes say is, one day a character's going to run into a cop car needing help and not find a dead body. One day.
Yeah,
but it's not this movie.
We missed that part. When she goes in the clover patch, she runs down, finds the cop car. And it's the dead cop there.
This movie's just
bad.
It's lost me after... But before she goes to the nursing home...
When they return to the house, when you think it's the final showdown, it's just not...
It lost me after this. Like, I tried. Like, my notes were so thorough, and then I got to that section, and I'm like...
Yeah, I stopped. Nah. I stopped at Bear Trap.
You stopped at Bear Trap?
I stopped at Bear Trap.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, I wrote... my last note was, they try to take the shitbox car rather than the Jeep.
Jesus. And then they're all kind of like looking through that weirdly lit clover patch at this point. Like, they're all there.
Like, their kneecaps are all green.
Their shoes are green. I was like, did they weirdly paint the grass? And so you were like, oh no, it's a spotlight.
It's a spotlight, because you can see the shadow of their hands when they go down searching.
You were like, it's a spotlight. She like lifts up like the hand of like weeds. Well, because it's the weirdly glowing one.
Because Aussie's like, you've got to believe. You've got to believe.
It'll be here. But the spotlight goes from like the green back to like a full-on daytime spotlight on just her hands.
Yeah, there's like a white torchlight on her hands.
They had a weird lighting choice a couple of times in this movie, I feel. Like, there's a time where Alex went into the barn and everything was backlit red. And red's like obviously the colour of like something bad's gonna
intense
happen.
Kind of thing.
But it's so out of place. It's not needed. And they did a little bit in the nursing home where like the pink was kind of more of a reddy pink, and it's like, oh, here we go. And then the lights. It's weird. It's weird.
There's a reason why this movie only had $1 million budget.
So they find it. They find the clover. And this is when Alex's line of "fuck you, Lucky Charms."
Oh yeah, fuck your Lucky Charms.
He wraps the 4-leaf clover up in bubble gum, in chewing gum, and he like slingshots it at him.
No. We missed something.
What did we miss?
You missed when they found the clover and they're running away and they go into the barn and freaking what's his face gets his bloody Nathan gets his shotgun out again and he stalls it. So the leprechaun chases after Aussie because they admit that the coin's in Aussie's stomach. And he's like, well, I want your stomach. And the leprechaun starts chasing after Aussie, and that means the leprechaun has to pass both Tori with the clover and Nathan with the gun.
Oh my god!
And he just tops past them. Tori's like holding this clover, like daintily holding this flower really badly, and Nathan has his gun and he stalls it. He can't shoot it. I'm like, that thing is heavy. Just whack him over the head.
The entire time he's giving Tori shit though for not knowing how to use the gun.
Yeah. Well, because there's that scene where he's like, here's a gun. Do you know how to use it?
No.
And she just goes, she goes, nope, boom, boom, which unloads. I'm like, what? But okay, back to the story at hand.
We're almost finished.
We're almost finished. We're almost at the end of this movie. 1 hour and 48 minutes into recording.
We tried to cut it down.
That's okay. I will cut this down and edit. But the leprechauns chased Aussie and pinned him down, and the kid, Alex gets a slingshot, the gum that's in his mouth. I didn't know he was chewing gum. He was chewing gum, and he gets the fresh 4-leaf clover.
I guess it was fresh. Like, Jennifer Aniston just picked it
Fresh, but then he, like, ruins it. Like, he
just shoves it in
the gum, and then, like, slingshots it and manages to perfect aim it in the leprechaun's mouth.
Yeah. And then Leppy does the whole, oh no, and he just, like, CGIs into this gross little leprechaun thing, and everyone's like, yay, we did it.
And he falls down the well.
He falls down the well. And then everyone's like, we did it, yay, congratulations. And then he, like, climbs his way back up, and he's, like, muttering, like, you can't defeat me, or something along those lines. And then Nathan, again, with the frickin' gun, just walks over there and, like, knocks him on this little leprechaun noggin, and down he goes. And then he gets the gun, was it gasoline?
They pour petrol down the well, and then light it up.
Oh man, it's
anyway. And then the dad comes back because now all the police cars are coming back.
And it's daytime.
And the dad comes out of the police car and hugs his daughter, being like, "You're fine." And I'm like, how are they going to explain this entire bullshit? Like, the house is now destroyed. Like, the owner is now dead in a lift. Like, it's whatever.
But the sad thing is there's 6 more of these movies.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about those, aren't we?
Do we have to?
Yeah, I know. We'll do a special.
I don't know. It's interesting, but, like, yeah, the big shocker of all, he's still alive. Because, you know, there's 6 more sequels.
Overall, what are your thoughts?
21%.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad until I got to the point of, like, I'm done. This is the final. There's more.
See, I was surprised it got an R rating because, like, Nightmare on Elm Street was the epitome of comic relief, and that deserved its R rating. This
Chucky.
Chucky deserved its R rating. This one, no, it was so comic-y. I don't know. I've seen worse today, but, like, I don't know. If it got revalued today, I can see it probably being just MA 15 plus for us.
I think it would be like a M. If they just remade the same movie with the same amount of gore, I think it would just be like an M. There's a little bit less of gore.
Boobs than old slashers that still deserve that.
Exactly. There wouldn't be that much.
There's no gratuitous sex scenes in this horror film.
No, that's a very good point. I mean, the only thing was about Jennifer Aniston wanting to bone Nathan the entire time. But even that got kind of put aside towards the end of it.
Yeah, their relation. Did they even kiss in that film?
No. That's why it was so funny, because she was so intense on him, and then they just dropped it, which is kind of good, because I guess she has other things to worry about.
Giant freaking leprechaun.
She has other things to worry about, so, like, yeah. I mean,
look, it was an odd film. It was entertaining, at least.
It's a St. Paddy's Day movie you watch yearly, laugh at it, drink your Guinness, and go, yeah, watch that.
Yeah.
Gonna go watch something else now?
Yeah, I know, right? What should we talk about next?
Oof, I can't decide. We have a few. I'm hanging out for Saw.
I'm hanging out for Candyman.
I'm hanging out for Spiral so bad. Yeah. It's going to be... Oh, man, I'm so excited.
So, our favourite horror movies. My favourite of all time is Candyman, and that sequel is coming out... Well, reboot of the sequels is coming out later this year, and it's produced by Jordan Peele and directed by Nia DaCosta, and I am so excited. So... I'm keen for that. I'm keen to cover that. I'm keen to cover Candyman and my hatred for Candyman 2 and 3.
See, I'm just keen to make you cover just Saw as a franchise together with me.
Okay.
Just Spiral's going to be the biggest fan service because Chris Rock wrote it. Mm-hmm. So if it's not a giant fan service movie, I'm going to be disappointed. But I'm excited to
in
have
a horror
movie
situation
that's written by a fan. Yeah. I don't have high hopes. I don't think you should go into any Saw movie these days with high hopes.
No, don't.
And if you do, that's totally on you.
I go in for practical effects, and that's about it.
I love Saw. Saw is one of my top 3 franchises.
Okay.
So, I'm keen.
Okay. Well, that concludes today's episode of Bloody Hell. We hope you enjoyed our first episode. What do we say now?
Where the bloody hell are you?
Bloody hell are you? That's an Australian tourism campaign.
That got banned from TV.
We're very excited to keep this going, so we hope you all enjoyed listening today, and we will hopefully see you in the next episode, which...
The goal is twice a month, so we're going to try and stick to that to a point as much as we can, but we do both work full-time, and this is still a hobby.
Yeah.
We want to do it as a fun outlet, and just still have fun. Really, that's it. The second it's not fun, and
we'll probably,
we'll make it fun again.
Yeah, we'll try and make it fun again, so... let us know in comments. We'll hopefully have this out on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts.
We got to work some stuff out.
Got to work out the logistics. So we hope you enjoyed today, and we'll see you all in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.